What's going on? We're back. Bardown Breakdown, episode 109. We have here our homie Cam chilling with us from Never Loved, Equal Vision's Records, Equal Vision record. There's no S there. That's my bad. Represent. I got this Hopes Fall shirt on. Equal Vision, represent.
I got
Bane
this
108,
Cornelius
represent.
Elementary School hoodie on. Represent.
Saves Day, represent.
I got a Flying Dog on, man. Flying Dog Brewery represent.
Flying Dog Brewery, part of Equal Vision Records, represent.
Yeah, I hope. That'd be cool.
Dude, it is so great having you on, getting to chat with you. We're going to talk a bunch about how Never Loved started and what you guys are up to. Of course, you're a huge Panthers fan, which is excellent. I was just talking before with Mikey about how they've been having a hell of a year. Tampa Bay has eclipsed them at this juncture, but there's plenty of season left. So we'll get on to that and all that good stuff. So thanks for being on the show. Thanks for taking the time to kind of stick with us and be with us here. First quick question. Let's just right out of the gate. So,
oh man, here we go.
So Never Loved is you and Jay essentially. And I know you added Shane, I think is his name, on guitar.
Yeah, that's the 4-7 homie.
There you go. So so who wraps it up on drums? Do you have any other instrumentals that you guys put on stage, anything like that? Do you have a drummer that is like actually your drummer, or is he just someone that is a quote unquote touring guy with you? How does that work for you guys?
So sorry, I think it froze for a second. Can you hear me?
Yep.
No, we're
okay,
good. Yep.
Perfect. So with that, so it's Shane, Jay, and I. We do have a drummer who goes on tour with us, and I mean, I honestly, up until now, we never really announced this, but we did have a drummer before that we just mutually split ways with.
Okay.
Everything's all cool. It's just some people. It's hard, especially with COVID too. Like being in a band's already hard enough, and then with COVID, it's just it's not for everybody sometimes, and everything's all good. There's no bad blood or anything, but we just have a drummer who comes on tour with us, and which I never thought I would say tour, and I can't remember the last time I said that word to be honest.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. Yeah, for sure.
I think Tom was trying to weasel his way in because Tom is a drummer. So that was Tom's backdoor way of saying, "Hey, if you need a drummer."
Listen, man.
We gotta talk some drums too. I didn't know that. But we actually we know someone who, and it was wild. I remember when we're okay, whenever touring does happen again, we gotta figure out a drumming situation. But Shane is actually really good friends with someone who is from down here, and which is also crazy to find someone from South Florida who is dedicated and professional and really good at what they do, and kind of on the same page. But he was the first person to reach out to come on tour with us whenever that does happen again. And he's going to be our dude for tour, and we'll see where it goes. That's kind of how Shane became part of Never Loved, is we came on a few tours with us, and after the second tour, we're yo, you should just join the band type deal.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about that, what you kind of alluded to with South Florida not being the biggest hotbed for this kind of music. To my knowledge, I mean, trying to think of some of the big bands in the scene from South Florida. I mean, Newfound Glory, I guess, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean,
A Day to Remember,
but I think they're technically from Ocala, right?
Yeah, it's 5 hours north.
Yeah, so that's up north. But yeah, who else is in South Florida?
Dude, so Dashboard Confessional.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
And Pitbull, of course, too. But
oh yeah, Dolly, dude.
Dashboard, Non-Point is another one too.
Okay.
Getting in the new metal. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think in the scene from I know. So we got Newfound, Dashboard Confessional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I can think Orlando, but not Miami, Fort Lauderdale. It's
Orlando. Fun. Since I moved here, Orlando it seems like a very rich scene. One of my favorite bands, Dikembe, are they're from really the heart of Orlando, and one of the bands that we've become good friends with through doing the show are homies in Out of Time or from, right around in that area as well. But it's so funny when you look at Florida as a state and you just, this more south you go, it kind of drops off a little bit. So other than, Newfound and Dashboard, I mean, you guys are kind of holding the torch. A lot of pressure, right? A lot of pressure.
I never really thought of it like that, but in a sense, I mean, I hope that we can like put South Florida back a little bit on the map again. That would be cool, because I feel like when you look at tours and routing and like Orlando and then everything else is like, I don't know. Like I feel like it stops at Orlando, where because you have Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, all kind of within a close radius, and a lot of tours skip out on South Florida, like the more like mid-sized tours, because it's like a pain in the ass to get down here. Like the market's not even that great, at least now. And then you gotta like go, dude. It's like 4 hours from Tampa, and then you gotta drive probably 6-7 hours to the next market when you can just go Tampa, Orlando, and bounce back out, or Jacksonville.
Yeah. We used to get that a lot being from Long Island. Long Island had a great scene and the market was good, but to get over to Long Island, you've got to get a bridge, and that's crazy money for tolls. And then when you get onto Long Island, the only way you can get out of Long Island is by driving out of Long Island. So it's kind of hard for routing, where I get that with South Florida too, because you got to go down. And when you're down, you can't, shoot over to, Louisiana or anything, like as if you were kind of running the Panhandle or something like that. It's tough.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that. But so growing up in South Florida, what was the scene like for you? Did you still get to catch a lot of great tours, or were you finding yourself always shooting up to Orlando, or, going to Gainesville or Jacksonville to see all the bands you wanted to see?
So I was lucky enough to live in like a perfect, like I was like, I don't want to say like right place at right time, but like when I was coming up, we had this venue called the Talent Farm that was still around. And I'm sure, I don't know if y'all have heard of Talent Farm. It was like the spot, like that was like the legendary, like pop punk come up spot. I mean, like I've seen Wonder Years play there, Seaway, like all these like Balance and Composure, Touche Amore, Pianos Become the Teeth, like, and this was like a small venue in the middle of fucking nowhere in the Everglades, like, and for some reason, like that place, people would show up, and that was like, so the thing with Florida, man, is, or at least South Florida, there used to be a lot more venues for like smaller tours for bands to come down to, and like a lot of people would show up, or like other local bands would open up for them. And what kind of started happening was you had like, there was some venues that could do those small shows, like the Never Loves of the world. Like we got to go play a 200 cap venue. Like there was that down here. And then there was also like middle tier venues like Culture Room and Rocketown that could have like, tour packages with like, like dating back to when like Sleeping Your Sirens released their first record. You sell pre-sales to open up, and like then there was like the big venues like that could do, the 2,000 cap shows. And I think what that allowed, what like got people into music is they'd go see these bands, but there's also local bands opening, and it gave local bands a chance to, show themselves to people who don't know about local bands. And then kind of like what started happening is there'd just be shows with just bands like from the area, and there was venues to do it at. And Talent Farm was one of them, but they also had up and coming acts coming through. And I think like what happened was just over time, venues, like just the real estate and the price and maintenance to keep venues open, like of those nature down here, like ones that don't sell alcohol, and
of course
they can't pay the overhead, so they just slowly started fizzling out. And now it's especially with COVID too, I mean, I can't even think of, like, you have to be able to sell out a 500 cap room or above. Like the smallest venue I can think of that would have like a Never Loved or like the Scene kind of tour package would be Culture Room, and that's like a 750 cap. There's no, like, the last one was O'Malley's, which would have like Citizen and again those kind of like 200-300 cap shows or local shows. But even then, location was inconvenient. Even living here, like it's in the middle, like suburb, like it was a pain to get to, but they went out too with COVID. So like
Jeez.
it's rough now, man. I mean, like being a band down here, that's why we've never played a hometown show. The closest we played was West Palm, which is about 45 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more venues up there the further north you go, but Fort Lauderdale is kind of in Miami, it's a tough spot.
I hear
For
that, man.
venues at least right now. For like smaller, like just you want to have a show with a couple bands, like it's hard to kind of find that. I feel like before we also had Solid Sounds too. I think Newfound Glory played like surprise shows there out of nowhere. Same with Talent Farm, but
it's awesome.
But to go back to the original point, I would there was a lot of venues where I could find bands and discover bands. Like I think one of like the first shows was actually Pianos Become the Teeth, and they got me into that whole top shelf niche.
Yeah, I love those guys.
So great, dude. It's such a great band. It was actually the Black Long After like record release tour, so it was like way from the start.
Yeah.
And then if there's like other bigger packages that wouldn't come down here, I'd shoot up to Orlando to catch them, or Tampa, one of the two, depending on the tour. But I've noticed like most of the time, if it's a bigger package, like a Sum 41 kind of band, they make their way down here most of the time.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess since you brought it up, how it was, not so easy to always find a show, especially when you were starting off to play. So how did you guys catch the ears of Equal Vision Records then? Because, we all know they're in Albany, freaking New York, and you guys
also
are
the middle of nowhere.
You guys are.
It really is kind of
so far away from where their headquarters are. How did you get their attention?
So it's actually like ironic that you brought that up, because you're like Albany, South Florida. How the hell?
Yeah.
So kind of like what inspired me and Jay have been in bands growing up through high school together, and it just like as things were kind of fizzling out, and like we'd always try to start a band and find a way to like, all right, how do we get to the next step? And like we obviously are passionate about music, and it's what we love doing. We want to make it a career, and it always seemed like we just couldn't find the right way to kind of get to that step we wanted to get to. So I think at one point I was like, I don't think like just starting a band and try, especially with venues going out, like playing shows down here, is like, we've tried this, it's not working. So honestly, what I ended up doing is I always write. I mean, it doesn't matter what I'll write, like just what I love doing. I'll write music. It doesn't have to be like I'm gonna sit down and write a Never Love song. I'll just always write music. And at the time, I was writing music, and I was always like the guitarist in a band, and I was never like the vocalist or the dude. We always had like problems with vocalists in the past and trying to just keep the lineup together. So I kind of just started writing music just out of the pure, like this is what I love doing. And I started recording my own vocals and writing lyrics for it. And to speed up, what I'm saying is instead of trying to start a band and find people, I was like, let me go work with one of the best producers I can find and get the best product I can get, and then kind of just recruit from there and go from there, just to try a different approach to it. And we went to go work with Matt Squire. He's produced our EP and our upcoming LP. Did a couple songs with him, and I mean his resume is insane. He's worked with so many amazing artists and have been there since like the day one of a lot of bands, and that's kind of why we wanted to work with him. Is like, and like I said, when I went to him, it wasn't even like I'm starting a band. We just brought some songs, and it was just me and him, and we did some tunes, and I was like, this is a fucking band. And that's when I hit up Jay. I'm like, yo, like I'm starting a band. Here's a song. So we kind of like already had the products, and from there, he introduced us to a manager at the time and some other people, and it kind of just like spiral affected its way to Equal Vision heard the songs and liked them, and they came to showcase us, and we've never played a show in our life. And yeah, we did a showcase at like a practice spot. It was like the most terrifying, like coolest experience of my life, because like when you showcase, it's easier like when you're playing a show and you got that adrenaline rush of being in front of a crowd and like you can engage with it. But it's weird when you kind of be like, do I fucking, hey, how's it going, Cincinnati? Like
Yeah,
to an
right.
empty room? Like, do I not? I don't know. And like also too, I was like, this is Equal Vision. I remember the first conversation I had with them. I was like, so you signed Armor for Sleep? Actually, that was one of the first things I brought up. But we showcased for them down here before we ever played a show, and sure enough, our first we did like a small like really like low key like practice show down here, kind of as like nothing crazy, but
Mhm.
our first show after that was like on the Ernie Ball stage at Warped Tour Orlando. But they
Wow.
showcased us, and
Like, this is
they like
blowing my
it's a
damn
very
mind.
like lucky, like I always tell people this, I'm like I'm literally like so lucky to like it just happened where like Ecovision liked it and they bought in before like weren't even announced to the world, like no one even knew we were a band kind of deal. So we had a couple songs done, some which are on our original EP, and then they signed us, and here we are now. It's
Now,
been an
I want to
insane ride.
follow up with that because it sounds like you getting in the studio with an established producer is what really sparked you guys and got you the recognition. But how'd you even get the attention of this producer to even like take a shot on you?
So, well, yes, to back up a little bit, I think like having an important producer, like having an established producer is crucial, but also like he's not gonna like make or he or she is not gonna okay, cool, I'm gonna write your music. I think it's like a mixture of you if you're an artist and you have a sound, like a great producer will help make that shine in the best way possible. And that's what I feel like Matt did for us, because like with our music there's all different types of like demos and different kinds of styles, and you kind of just like saw a through line between some things and like brought out a side of us that I didn't even know existed, but it was always kind of there. And I think that's what producers are so important for, because they give you like an outside perspective and they give you like the listener's perspective, but they also know how to make great, make it the best it could be. But with Matt, so that's I've always gotten this nickname, Cold Call King. I don't know how, but so dude, I swear, I was like researching different producers, but Matt stuck out to me because he's done literally my whole like middle school and high school like playlist. I mean, he's done so many great records, and I was like, I like, this is the kind of music I like. I'm like, I want to work with him, and I actually tweeted at him. I was like, hey, like, do you have an email? And sure enough, he like followed me, because this is like when you couldn't DM people on Twitter unless you're like mutually following each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
So he followed me back and gave me his email, and I just sent some demos over, and we just got on the phone and like a call like a week or two later and chatted, and we started off doing just like 2 songs. I mean, because budget, I was like self-funding all of this, and to work with him wasn't necessarily the cheapest option, but worth it in a lot of ways. Aside from getting a product, like being able to learn from someone like him too. But we did like 2 songs, and you know, sent them out to some people, and the whole thing was like, yeah, people like it, but they want to hear more. So we did 2 more songs, and then that's when we had 4 songs, and that's when Equal Vision kind of came into play. But I to answer your question simply, I literally just tweeted at him for his email, and
So
it was just like the whole. I feel like how Never Love started is just like kind of being at the right place at the right time,
yeah, I would say.
like without fucking knowing it. But again, really lucky.
Yeah, I think we need to hire you to like just start tweeting at artists that we want on the podcast.
I mean, that's how I kind of got on a Zoom call with Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, in a funny way too. But
Well, so that story needs to be told. So
Took the words out of my
um,
mouth.
so this is actually a great segue too into probably what we're going to talk about next. Have you all ever seen like the video of Mark McGrath having like a mental breakdown on some kid for and like part of my language, but some like kid went up to Mark McGrath and said sugar gay, and he like flipped out on some like 14-year-old kid
No,
and like had a
crazy.
absolute. This was like back in like 2001, whatever, like Sugar Ray was at its peak, and like um some of the YouTubers I really like, Cody Co and what's his name? Oh my god, no, I'm drawing a blank. I should go to YouTube jail. But some YouTubers did like a reaction video, and it was just like a running joke. Like it was funny, and then like Shane and I are Sugar Ray fans. And we'd always joke about like, bro, like when we're recording in the studio for a record, Mark McGrath went live on his Instagram, and I mentioned something like from that video, like he said an insult to the kid, like tweeze your nipples, bro, or something. So I mentioned that on the live stream, and he outed me on his thing. He's like, tweeze nips. He's like, you know what? He's like, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm about to get cursed out. He's like, I appreciate you not being the sugar gay guy. You know, like it's not cool. You know, like whatever your preference is. He's like, I said some dumb things, like one of the whole thing, and we're sitting here like, holy shit, like Mark McGrath and Sugar Ray, just like, you know, the fuck, like we thought. He's like, he's like, because if you're the sugar gay guy, I'll fucking fight you. Making gay jokes is not cool. I'm like, obviously, it's not what we're doing. We're making fun of him. He's like, you can make fun of me for the dumb stuff I said, and so when our Armor tour got postponed originally, we wanted Cameo, and Mark McGrath's on Cameo. So we like all chipped in. It was like $100, and he like sent us a video about like like announcing the postponement of the Armor for Sleep tour with Never Loved, and like we also like too for April Fool's Day before that made like a fake Sugar Ray Never Loved tour ad mat that's like touring Eastern Europe.
Oh my god.
So and like in the cameo, he's like, and also the Sugar Ray Never Loved tour is canceled indefinitely. So. And like I took that video and like edited. He also used to be like the host on Extra. Do you remember that show? Like,
yeah.
So I edited it into like an extra segment that like announced the postponement of Armor for Sleep Never Loved. I'll have the same video. So fast forwarding, and this is like when shit just started getting locked down too, back in like April, March, May of 2020, and like sitting on the couch playing Call of Duty, and I get like at 2 a.m. I get an email notification. Rate your last Cameo transaction. Enter a chance to win a free one-on-one Zoom call with Mark McGrath. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, what? Fuck it. Like, reply to this. And I guess I was like the first person. I don't know. So, like, I get an email the next day. Like, yeah, like, here's a day and time. You get the chat with Mark McGrath one-on-one for like 15 minutes or 10 minutes. And I was like, holy shit.
So is the Sugar Ray Never Loved tour happening now?
No, it's canceled indefinitely. But like on the Zoom call, him and I like, because I don't know like who buys his cameos. I'm sure it's like probably super fans, and like I'm a big fan of that band. That's what was like also the craziest part. But we hit it off. I told him like, yeah, I'm an up and coming band, and like, you know, we're on a small indie label right now, and Sugar Ray's been an inspiration. We kind of just like had a good talk, and we ended up like, I followed him on IG. He followed me back, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to come check y'all out whenever you're in LA. I was like, holy shit.
That's awesome.
Happen. So that's how we ended up getting semi-acquainted with Mark McGrath. We're still working on becoming best buds, but.
So really what you have to do is, you know, if this Armor tour ever materializes again, you just got to cover someday. Like you just got to learn it and cover it and just play it every night until Mark McGrath realizes that, you know, you're taking his songs and making them better. And then maybe he'll be like, dude, look, I got to join your band. I just got to be a part of this.
I mean, like, I hope he's not. I mean, I'd like to think he's not listening. Like, sorry, Mark, we got like guitarists and singers. You could you could be our moral support. No, I agree though. We actually I told him like one of the songs on the record was inspired by Sugar Ray, and he's like, yeah, man, you can rip off Sugar Ray all you want. I was like, well, that's not what I was saying, but like, thank you for the approval. Like, cool. I was like, I had our guitarist Shane like on like FaceTime on the side, so he's like like also on the call, but Mark doesn't know. And the whole time he's like, bro, what the fuck just happened? It was a really interesting. The end, like 2020 was fucking weird, but that was definitely one of the better parts of it was getting to like just randomly Zoom call and chat with Mark McGrath of Sugar Ray
Hell
because
yeah,
he caught
man.
a cameo and got lucky enough to win the contest to chat with him.
That's like the highlight. But so as far as other highlights are concerned, you guys were essentially picked by Equal Vision, or so it seems, to get out there and go on tour with Armor for Sleep. Unfortunately, COVID kind of brought that to a halt, which is a huge bummer. But talk to me a little bit about that. So, how did the process of Never Loved being asked to be support for Armor for Sleep come to be? Was it something that the label just put together, or was it something that Armor for Sleep specifically was like, these guys have a bright future, we want them to come along? How did it all kind of materialize?
It's a little bit of everything. So, and that's a great question. Going back to the showcase, I mentioned we had our A&R down there, and then the president of the label or senior A&R, I'm not sure the exact position title, but like one of the higher up people who've been there since they started their day one, like they putting Bane CDs and Hot Topic from the get-go, like in the 90s kind of thing. And I just off rip talked about Armor for Sleep and like mentioned that, and at the time it was never like a thing that they're gonna get back together and do this tour. And like I'd always like, it was just like kind of every time we stopped by the office, he'd always give me like some kind of Armor for Sleep memorabilia. Like I have one of their like cassette tape. Like it was just one of those. He knew I loved that band, and like I'd always like geek out over them, and we'd always sarcastically joking like, yeah, if they get back together, for a tour, Never Loved. And he's like, you'd be first in line. Like it was kind of not a running joke, but just like one of those. Because this is going back to like 2018.
Yeah, hell yeah.
2021. And then it kind of like picked up a little bit. Like, we'd talk and he's like, yeah, I'm going out to, I think it was like Saves the Day through Being Cool 20-year anniversary show in LA. He's like, Ben from Armor's going to be there. I'm going to try to talk to him about like doing a reunion tour and repress, and like it was so like we'll see what happens. And then like, I think they're gonna do it, like y'all be first in line kind of thing. It's just kind of slowly like, oh shit, this is actually probably like this could be a thing. Like just them touring, let alone like us being able to be a part of it. We weren't even there yet. And I remember when we recording our LP in January of 2020, which feels like forever ago. Our label, some people from our label came down to see how things are going and hang out for like the weekend in Maryland, and we all went out for dinner together. And they're like, okay, like nothing's official yet, but y'all are gonna be like first on the short list for that tour, like if it happens. And like, and it kind of just got more and more serious. And like one day I woke up to an email that's like, we have an offer to go on tour with Armor for Sleep. And I was like, holy fuck.
That's crazy.
Insane, because
that's crazy.
I missed their 10-year reunion, and I wanted to go so bad.
Dude, it was good. I was still in New York at the time, and I actually, believe it or not, I saw it in Philly. And they killed it. And they played with this band from, speaking of top shelf bands, they played with this band Prawn from Jersey, who are awesome. Just a great band, but it was just a great tour. So not to, put the knife in. I mean, you're going to get to see them, hopefully, if the tour comes back every night for like 25,000 nights.
Yeah.
So egg on my face because I only got to see it once. But
that's the thing. It's like I thought about it. I'm like, I never got to see. Like, I discovered them after they were broken up. I'm like, I'll never get to see this band. And then like I missed the 10-year. I'm like, whatever. And like, what better way to be like, well, the first time I'm going to see them is after our set. Like,
yeah, there you go, right?
And like, and I get to see it, like you said, like fucking 20 times or whatever. But it was kind of, like I said, it was a little bit of everything though. Like our people at Ecovision knew we loved the band, and like they want us to be in front of the right audiences, and
Yeah, of
and
course.
Armor for Sleep, had to be like, we want to bring this band out, and it was kind of one of those like, this is just like an Equal Vision family kind of thing, and
Yeah.
we want to help Equal Vision out. We want to help the upcoming band out that's also on Equal Vision, and like they also dig us, which is crazy too. Like they're like, yeah, no, we like them. And it's not just like they're on Equal Vision, fuck it. Like
Yeah.
it's like a combination of everything.
That's awesome.
But really lucky, man. Really lucky for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. And we wish you guys all the best. One last question before we launch into a little bit of hockey talk, which I'm really excited to do.
Chirping, man.
So you keep talking about your LP. Now, as far as I've done research, nothing has been announced on your LP just yet. The singles that you guys put out, are they going to be part of that LP, or are they just singles that you guys have put out? Can you give us any information on the LP, or is that kind of under lock and key?
Yeah, I mean, I'll spill some tea. I don't care.
All right. I'm into it.
The singles are going to be in the LP.
All
Dude,
right, cool.
It's crazy because like the LP, we recorded it in January of 2020.
Yeah, that's sitting on it for that long. Yeah,
a year and a half ago, and originally we were slated to release it. The original Armor for Sleep dates were in like June, July, August of 2020.
Yep, exactly.
And that's when we're gonna record in January and release it then. But with like COVID looming, no one really had any idea of when shows would kind of come back, especially last year. So it was just like, let's hold on to this, as long as we can. So with that being said, it's definitely a lot sooner than later. I won't say when the album comes out, but our album will be announced on April 7th. That's all I'm going to say with a song. So whoever's listening, cool. The song that we're releasing 2 weeks from today, actually, I wrote with Nick from All American Rejects.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
We did a couple songs together on we co-wrote 3 songs together. That's on the record. And then he was actually with us doing pre-production and stuff for the first week. But this song that we're dropping has had like such a wacky history too, because like with COVID and like the video situation, it was just like a whole fucking thing. But yeah, we're going to be releasing a song 2 weeks from today, and we'll be announcing our record and when that's coming out finally.
Dude, I'm super excited for that. Let me just tell you a quick All American Rejects story. Like no one's really brought them up since we've been on this podcast.
I did last episode, jerk.
Did you?
Yeah,
I didn't remember.
We were talking to the Tokyo Police
Michael
Club.
said, "Yo, at me next time."
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, that's my fault.
Like, I wonder how big All American Rejects would have been if they were from, say, Australia or like somewhere else, and then when they finally made it over to the U.S., like, what would it have been like?
So then,
dude, they're from Oklahoma. It might as well have been from Australia.
So I guess that's probably what got me thinking about this. So I remember very vividly getting my hands on that first All American Rejects CD, and then going to see them at the Downtown in 2003. But to be honest, they were second on my list, because the real reason I was going to the show is because this great drive-through pop punk band called Homegrown were playing the same show.
Dude, so Dave actually, like, on a side note, our buddy Dave Courtney told me the exact same story. Like,
really?
But in Charlotte, I think it was actually at oh my God, Tremont Music Hall.
Yep.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and there was also this band called the Riddlin' Kids that played too, who I remember being like pretty cool. But so I went to the show to see Homegrown, and everybody that was at the show was there to see the All American Rejects. And I remember seeing them, and they were playing really only like, I think, a 7 or 8 song set, because they really only had like those songs that were on that LP. Because if I remember correctly, like, it just all happened like a big bang for that band. It was just like, went into the studio, wrote these songs, put a band together, and just went right the hell out on tour. But I remember seeing them and being like, wow, like the song Swing Swing, like these guys are going to be enormous. And sure as shit, man, they exploded into the stratosphere. But that's awesome. All American
they're-
Rejects. It really is so cool.
Dude, they're like definitely one of my favorite bands of all time, and like they're timeless. Like they still like I think the songs like then versus now like stand up to the test of time. Where it's like
Oh,
not
absolutely.
like they're nostalgic, but it's not like a when you listen to like OG Warped Tour music kind of nostalgic. Like it's still
Yeah.
rips type deal.
It's probably another one we have to add to the list, Mikey, because I'm pretty sure that record came out in either 02 or 03. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think it was
Got it.
02, it'll
Got
be
it.
20 next year. So actually, another fun fact about like COVID and well, not fun fact about COVID, but and like also like the whirlwind of like Sugar Ray haunting my life forever. So right before COVID hit, AAR was going to be playing like Mardi Gras at Universal, like March 14th of 2020.
Shit, I didn't
And
know
like
that.
Nick
That's
hits me up.
awesome.
He's like, "Yo, like I can like get y'all in. Like it also gives you tickets to Universal." I'm like,
Damn.
down. So like the whole
Yeah,
band,
man.
like we're gonna go up to Orlando and hang out and like go to Universal and kick it, watch AAR, and like the day before they're like, like it's canceled and whatever, and like of course Sugar Ray takes her spot doing it. Of all things. I was like, oh damn, like I'm still gonna
2020,
be
the year of
Netflix.
Sugar Ray, man.
I don't know,
I
man.
know,
I think
man.
I think low key, you maybe don't realize it, but like maybe Mark McGrath has taken such a liking to Never Loved, and he's so bored. He's like so rich and so bored that he's like, man, I got nothing better to do. I got everything I ever want. Let me just like follow everything that Cam has ever done and just make sure I pop up in his life all the time. Like he's
I
gonna
don't
find
know,
out
man.
what grocery store you go to and like get the box of Eggos that you want just before you can. And he's
Dude,
just gonna
so
like pop out and be like, I got blueberries, son. What are you gonna do about it? And just like
I don't
run
know if I
off.
want that. Fuck. Like actually another side story about 2020 because it was the year of virtual concerts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure was.
I bought a ticket to like the Sugar Ray live stream concert, and I remember like I couldn't screen share it with Shane because like the audio wouldn't come through, but he could see it. So I took this mic that I'm holding and I mic'd up my studio monitor and put it through the Zoom audio. So I snuck him into an online show.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, fun
That's-
fact. If you take a SM Beta 58 and mic it up to your speaker, it should translate well if you're sneaking someone to virtual shows. Now, obviously pay the artist what they deserve, but Sugar Ray is well off, so it's all right.
Yeah, they got plenty of money. They don't need any more.
They got that Shrek money, right?
They got that Shrek money. Yeah,
I
that's what
think
it is.
No, I think that's Smash Mouth you're thinking of.
Oh, yeah, that is Smash
Yeah, that's
Mouth.
right.
Same
Smash
shit,
Mouth does
though,
have
bro.
Yeah, they
Like,
are like the same shit.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Mark McGrath wasn't he in an episode of The Office? I think he was like towards the end of The Office.
Really?
He was like,
Dude,
I
I'm an
think-
Office geek, and I don't even know about this.
I'm pretty sure it was when Andy was he left Under Mifflin to like be a superstar. And he was,
American Idol, yeah.
he was online for American Idol, and Mark
That was the
McGrath
second
was
to
like,
last episode, I
yep,
think.
and like Mark McGrath was the guy on like online like that was like hyping the show up. See, Mark McGrath
Holy
is
shit.
everywhere.
Actually, yeah, you're right about that. I remember that now.
It's Mark
I
McGrath.
remember like our A&R texted me specifically that episode, like, "Yo, do you know Mark McGrath's on The Office?" Now that you say that, it's like I definitely recall that.
So it's all
That's
coming
insane.
together.
On a
So-
side note, I was just at was it like a Goodwill,
Okay.
just like thrifting, and I found the Office DVD board game for like $2.
Oh shit,
It
that's
was actually
great.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I actually I finally broke down, and so I'm a big pro wrestling nerd. So they just moved the WWE network to Peacock. So like anyone that was a subscriber to the network, they gave like this really good introductory price. Essentially, you got 4 months for $2.50 each. So I pulled the trigger on it because I hadn't they took The Office off of Netflix and it's been on Peacock. So
Yeah.
I've just been like watching it again, and it's like me like not having, I don't even know how to put it. It's like a drug that like
Dude,
I feel
it
better
is.
now
It really is.
with
Like
having now.
not having it on Netflix sucks because you just always on in the background or whatever.
exactly.
But I'm kind of like glad. Well, I'm not glad, but I'm glad because it's like, all right, I'm not gonna watch it on Peacock. So whenever I do find easy access to it again, like I'm giving myself some time to like,
There you go.
you know,
To
when I
forget about it,
revisit
so you
it's
can.
gonna
Yeah,
be like,
exactly.
oh shit, like even better.
It's gonna be cathartic. So, let's talk Florida Panthers. So, first thing I want to hear, the Panthers being, I think, what was it, 94, 95 they came into?
I think it was 93.
93. Yeah, you're right. So 93 they came into existence as an expansion team, and everyone probably at the time thought like Florida and hockey, like ice can't even exist there. Like, what's the point? But now, some 30 years later, between the Panthers and the Lightning, you have like rabid fans. Probably the Lightning a little bit more so than the Panthers, but the Panthers now putting together some pretty exceptional seasons and teams. I'm sure it's coming back. So, first memory of hockey for you. What do you remember? What was it? Was it going to a game with your family? Was it playing NHL 97? What was it?
Dude, that's a really great question. I'll have to give you props to that. I mean, I remember playing like NHL on like the Sega back in the day, but I think the first memory like that comes to mind that I remember, I was at a Panthers game, and it was like how I started playing hockey. Was like there was a ad on their jumbotron, learn how to play hockey. I was like 4 years old. I'm like, yo, I want to do that. And like that's kind of what got me into it. On the side note too, I wasn't named after Cam Neely, but my parents were like, "Oh, that's like when my mom's from Massachusetts, so she's a Bruins fan."
Okay.
Fucking makes me want to throw up. But dad's a fucking Dead Wings fan, which is all right. But I remember like her saying like, "Yeah, like when like Cam Neely, we like that name," and like it's definitely brought up that name, and like here I am. But it was definitely when I saw the jumbotron and learned how to play hockey, and I was like 4 or 5 years old at the Cats game. I think back then it was called the National Car Rental Center.
All right. So
way back then,
I'm assuming you're a little bit younger than us, but very early on, they go to a historic like cup final against the Red Wings, and I remember just like the squids going on the ice, the rats going on the ice. Like, were you too young at that point?
I think it was the Avalanche. No,
it might have been the Avalanche. I for some reason
I know the Avalanche beat up the fucking. It was always the Avalanche and Wings in the West Conference. Always like those finals. I think it was the Avalanche, but no, that's one thing I don't remember because that was 96, so I was 1 at the time. I was born in 95.
So you're a lot younger than us.
I wish though, man, because that was the only fucking time they had a solid team. Fuck, until now, but
yeah, that was like John Van Beesbrook days, and
dude, the Beezer, man. That's why I wore number 34 when I played goalie. The Beezer.
There you're in there, dude. The no, and you're right. It was I think the Avs, and what you're probably thinking of is I think the year either before or after that was the Caps and the Wings, which is where all of that.
No, but I definitely remember them throwing the rats on the ice. Maybe it was not the final. Maybe it was like a Eastern Conference or Western Conference final, whatever it was during like those expansion years.
Could have been, yeah. I know the Wings weren't in the East until like more recently. The Wings were always the Wings were always in the West. But at any rate, so that memory of you seeing that on the jumbotron, learning to play hockey and stuff. How did so your hockey career? Let's talk a little bit about that. So you said were you predominantly in net, or were you kind of all around doing like whatever, or did you just wear Beezer's number really, or how was it like? So, how was it for you? Yeah, I
started. I didn't know how to ice skate, so like I started as a skater.
Mm-hmm.
And I did mainly defense for the most, like for like 2 years of defense, and I remember I was just really intrigued by the goalie position. So then like I kind of transitioned the goalie really early. I mean, like probably around like 6 or 7, and was just goalie the whole way. I actually did travel hockey too for a good minute. I mean, that was like I always loved music, and playing guitar and all that stuff. But hockey is like my life for a hot minute, man. Until probably about like 15. I played for the Panthers like affiliate like travel like hockey team, the Junior Panthers.
That's
I'm
awesome.
sure y'all have something similar with like the Islanders or.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hurricanes, but I played for them for a while, and like that's actually how my first like introduction to traveling and stuff, and doing what I love and being on the road was with hockey. Like it was always so exciting. Just all your friends and parents like get on a plane together and go, and you're doing a tournament wherever.
Yeah.
We actually played what was it at the Lake Placid Arena, man? At the fucking
Oh,
yeah, the
dude.
same ice as the 1980 Olympics.
I've been there. Tom, I don't know if you've ever been up to Lake Placid, but you
No,
know, all
not yet.
these years later, there's just like an aura when you like walk
Mhm.
in. And I walked into a completely empty arena, which is kind of cool that they let you do it. Like if you
Mhm.
go on a tour, you could just kind of open up the doors and step in at any section or whatever and kind of just sit in the stands and take that all in. And I just remember like getting goosebumps because even though it was empty, there was just like still an energy in that building. So the fact that you got to play there, that's freaking cool, man.
Dude, it was playing on that ice, and I wish I could do it. I was like 10, 11, 12, somewhere around that. Like I remember it, but not enough where like I wish I could have, retained that now. But that was definitely one of the most surreal moments. And like we lost 4-3, ironically. we lost. We're the Soviets, I guess. We lost 4-3, man. But yeah, no, I played goalie for the most part. Played for the Junior Panthers travel for a while, and then kind of eased out of it. I went to private school, and Peter Royal was the coach there for our junior varsity team. But it's just one of those things that kind of like over time, when you're like 15, 16, it's like it gets, especially being in Florida, like unless you're at like I didn't go to high school at a private school, so like hockey was just like off the table, and it kind of just like fizzled from there. But here we are now,
Have you
so I
gotten
wouldn't have
into
it
it?
any other way.
Have you gotten into it again though? Like
Yeah,
as of late?
I still like play casually, not as much as I'd like, but just it's, if there's time, I'll find time to make it happen. But also where I live now, the closest rink is like 30, 40 minutes away. But
Damn.
they're actually building the new facility where they're going to be practicing like right next door. Whenever that is finished, I don't know, but maybe then go out and casually. Also, dude, hockey gear is fucking expensive.
I would imagine.
I
Like
feel like
having gear
it's
that
expensive everywhere, but yeah, I'm sure more so in the South because it's like,
well,
it,
like goalie gear too, like
yeah, that too.
fuck. But so it's actually funny. I actually was slowly transitioning back to when I go out and casually play. I like to do skating because, like, dude, I have a couple beers before. I want to glide around. I don't want to be fucking getting down, getting up, and like it's fucking exhausting, man. And like
Oh
if
yeah,
you're not doing it constantly, goalie's exhausting.
sure is. I can't pretend like I have played goalie, but I would imagine with all that damn equipment, it's exhausting.
Dude, I like the last time I went out and played, must have been like in October, September. Um, and it was like late at like the session started at like 10. So like I had like dinner before, I had a
Yep.
couple drinks, whatever. And when I out there, oh my dude, when I was out there, I was like it was rough, bro. I was like, this is I can't like unless you're in shape, man. Because these dudes are out there all the time and it's fucking quick.
Absolutely. So I guess you hinted at Dave Courtney, and people who listen to Bardown will definitely remember him because he was on a couple episodes ago. Um, Tell us about your relationship with Dave because what Dave does for the Florida Panthers is so cool. Like how he incorporates our scene, like music scene, into their videos. Like to the general audience, they might not pick up on it, but people that are fans of Bardown Breakdown definitely appreciate it. So
Oh, dude. Well, Dave's the fucking goat
yeah,
for sure. Like one of the best dudes that I know too. Like shout out Dave, love you, buddy. We haven't seen each other in like I think 2 weeks because it's just been like chaotic with traveling and like us getting ready with like a record release soon and stuff. And we're
Yeah, of
neighbors,
course.
but and like we used to see each other like every night kind of thing, like literally walking distance. But no, he's great, man. It's awesome that someone to like you said incorporate, you know, scene into like hockey, and I feel like they go so hand in hand. And like you even listen to like NHL soundtracks, it has like, music from the scene. I remember like it was like 2000 NHL 2007. There was like an EVR band on there. It was Pierce the Veil's like first record on NHL soundtrack. But it's cool
Sounds
to see,
about right.
like,
Yeah.
it's cool to see, you know, and hear bands still in digital media videos online. I think it's great. But no, him and I met ironically through Equalvision. There was like an onboarding like questionnaire they had us do when we first signed with them. That was just like so they can kind of see what we like and like get to know us a little bit. Like we filled it out and like went on a call with them and like chatted. But one of the first things was they saw like Florida Panthers. I forgot how it was mentioned, but I think it was like favorite teams or something like that. And our label manager at the time was like, "Oh, I'm actually good friends with their digital media person, Dave Courtney. Like, I should introduce y'all," kind of thing. And like, oh, okay, cool. And you know, he got us, invited us out to a game, and it was crazy because at that same game when we went to go meet up with them in between like intermission, Ian from Newfound Glory was like right there. So we're all like just chatting. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? It was like, it was so weird. I was like, this is cool, but like, what the hell? And you know, it was like cool. We chatted, like, yeah, thanks for inviting us out, yada yada yada. Like, it was casual, and we didn't really like we're buddies, but we weren't like buds just yet because we didn't realize we were neighbors. It was just so like, and it's ironic how it happened. We just so happened to be at the when the Panthers. I forgot this was like this must have been I think when Monty was like on a hot streak. It was in 2019. They were on a California leg, so they're doing like Anaheim, San Jose, LA, whatever. And it just so happens that our tour is kicking off in LA the night that he's off and they're in LA. And it's our record release. There was an EP release show too. And our label manager was going to be at that show. And I was like, dude, you're in LA. I'm like, our record releases tonight. Are you off? Yeah. He's like, oh, I'd love to see so-and-so from the label who he knows. So it's just like this crazy, like, holy shit. Like we all just were hanging out in California. And I remember there, I'm like, you were just like drinking beers and having a good time. He's like, yeah, we got to hang out when you get back. Where do you live? And he showed me. I'm like, oh, I live right there. Like straight up. He's like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, dude, like you live like that's. I can walk out and like be there in a minute.
That's
2
incredible.
minutes max.
And
when
you
like,
had to
this
be
whole time,
in
like,
LA to figure that out.
that was the funniest part. Is we're like across the fucking country, and it's like we're neighbors. I didn't know that.
Great. I love that.
That's so
Yeah, it's funny. We live like right off like this intercoastal spot. So like we always like, yo, river beer, and we'll just go right out to the river. It's like the in between point. I want to say in between point of our house is like not the minute mark, the 30-second marker kind of thing, but always have brews. And no, it's cool, man. Like especially like backing up too. When I moved out to Fort Lauderdale, like a lot of my friends are like way out west, so I didn't really know many people out east that were like, yo, let's hit it if we want to randomly link up. Because like now it's like I got to drive 30 minutes, so it was like just when I moved out here, and it just was funny that worked out. But no, man, he's like one of my best buds. He's a great dude, and I mean the content he does for the Cats is great. It was like, it's funny that you mentioned that too, how he incorporates the scene into the Cats, because I remember even hearing like a couple of years back before I even knew who he was, I'm like, damn, the Panthers put some bomb music in there.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah.
online videos, and I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, it's you don't really hear that much. That was like the one thing I remember hearing. So when I met him and all this, and we talked more, I was like, oh, it was Dave the whole time.
It sure is. Dave music.
But dude, I'm honestly, man, like I will say one thing. I'm glad I'm on this podcast now when the Cats are actually a good team, because it's been terrible, man. As a Panthers fan, they've put together a couple teams that are good, but they're not like substantial. They're just like kind of one hit wonders. Like they're not built to win. They're just like, oh, they got hot and here they are. But I actually feel like for once they're built to win. I'm gonna get a Bill Zito statue in my room.
But I guess the cool thing I want to talk about is Yandel having his 1,000 game with the Cats. Like that's a big milestone. And I was like before we recorded, I was like, oh, I want to bring up Yandel's 1,000th game. Such a hard word to say on a podcast.
I know, right?
1,000
game. Yeah, 1,000th.
Yeah, you just automatically have a list. But anyway, I was trying to think back, like, man, I don't know if any Islander in my lifetime ever played 1,000 games, like, as they were on the Islanders. Like, I can't think of that happening.
I don't think so. Like, was Dennis Potvin?
He didn't play as many years as you would think. I think, like, injury.
Really?
Yeah, he got hurt a lot. Yeah,
his career short.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was an Islander that did it, it wasn't while they were with the Islanders. So, like, was that special knowing that was going to happen this season? Even though I know he didn't play his whole career with you guys, like it's kind of towards the tail end of his career. But was it still special?
It's special. I mean, I like I think like Jens is cool. Dude, I didn't really I knew it. And like I watched that game, but it wasn't like oh hell yeah, because I've always been like kind of indifferent with Jens. I think I love like as a personality and a member of the team, I love him, but like I don't think we need 4 forwards on the ice kind of thing, where like. But he's been good this year. I honestly thought like at the beginning of the season we were gonna trade him. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, because there was even rumors that they were going to bench him and like mess up his consecutive
Ironman streak.
Yeah,
that would have been like the dirtiest thing they've done since like kicking Gallant to the curb. But Gallant, I heard, is like kind of a hothead when it comes to GMs, and it works out. But no, it's special. I mean, I think for me it was more like thinking of like special Panthers moments would be like Yager on the team getting all those milestones and like
that's true.
Luongo coming back and finishing his career and like having his jersey retired here, like for sure. I mean, I love Jens, but I'm not like attached to him as like a Panthers fan as much. Like I feel like I don't know. Like
no, I totally
could live without him on the team, but no, I mean, congrats, dude. To play 1,000 games in this league is insane.
Yeah, I'm sure if we looked it up, that list isn't too long.
No, and the guys played consecutive for fucking most of them.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Super crazy. So, do you have like a favorite Panther?
Oh yeah, Pavel Bure.
Okay.
Russian Rocket, man.
He was my favorite. He was my favorite Canuck.
Oh man,
He was.
I forgot about his tenor with the Canucks. No, I love the like. On a side note, the fact that the Lightning are as scary as they are without Nikita Kucherov is terrifying to me. Like they're missing like their dude and they're still destroying people. But
yeah, or like last season they were missing Stamkos for a good amount of it too, and they still were just.
I feel like they're always missing Stammer, man. Like I mean, he's on a good deal and he's their captain, but yeah, they missed him for a minute. And like he came in and scored like some 2 big goals in the playoffs and bounced out, and then they're with the cup. I mean, I know like there's a rivalry, between the two teams, but like I root for the Lightning if the Panthers aren't in it kind of thing. It's not like a Yankees Red Sox type deal, but
no, and the Lightning are just a tremendous team to watch. They're just their skill level and how good they are. I mean, it blew me away last season just watching, the Islanders went on such a hot run and then really just got like eviscerated by the Lightning. But that's just how it goes, when you get outmatched by a team, that's just kind of what you're in for. But it's been a blast just to watch, a team like the Panthers kind of come into their own. I mean, they had such a rough run, in like the late 90s, pretty much through like the 2010, and then they finally, put together, a pretty good team. And then, obviously as those years progressed, you guys got, Huberdeau and Barkov, and, kind of put together the kind of the core of the team. But as a Cats fan, do you ever feel like because of the Lightning's success, you're always like the second fiddle team? Like, do you feel like any sort of way about that?
No, I think it's more so to do with the inconsistency, and like I will say, like, okay, from like 2000 or yeah, like 2000 to 2010,
Mm-hmm.
those are like the darkest years for the Panthers, I
Yeah.
think. I mean, you had like Oliokin in here, Pavly Bure, like it was just
Yeah.
always like, and then you just get shipped off. You trade Luongo to the fucking Canucks,
Mm-hmm.
like just a lot of Todd Bertuzzi. I don't know. Those are rough years. So I get like why I give that a pass as a Cats fan. Like, all right, every team, like they had a good run to like 96, not like they're a relevant team from, like 95 to 99 for the most
Mm-hmm.
part.
Yeah.
And like I get it, like you're like I think honestly this we'll see what happens with the Vegas on a side note, but they might hit that same plateau where like you get like that strong start because of the expansion draft like benefits you, but you're not built for like longevity. So like I get it, you're gonna rebuild for a couple of years in the Panthers
Yep.
case, like 10 years. But from 2010 when Talon came on, they made that one playoff push. I think they actually went to Game 7 with fucking the Devils in
Yeah, dude, I
Brodeur.
was down
Yeah.
in Florida for that, and it was cool. I was actually in Marathon,
No
Florida,
shit.
like
Oh,
kind of like the
fucking
Florida Keys.
yeah.
And I remember going. I was at like it's called Hawks K, and it was like
Dude, I stayed at that exact same resort with my dad.
yeah,
That's
and
fucking beautiful.
there was like a bar on the like kind of where the dock is, where all the tarpons come, like where you could feed the tarpons. And I remember just watching. I think it was a game where like Sean Bergenheim scored like a game where
Oh
like
man,
he was on fire that playoffs, like the
dude,
whole entire
that whole
playoffs.
team. I don't know how they were even in the playoffs. Like it
Yeah,
was
because
Fleischman,
Bergenheim was on
Bergenheim.
the
Like,
Islanders for the longest time, and like he was always maybe like a 10 goal a season player, like
yeah.
maybe get 10 goals out of a whole entire season, and he had that like in the playoffs.
So like, I guess where I'm getting at is like that season they did it. Like that was Talon's first like, season. I think with the Cats or second, one of the two. But it was always like I feel like they had that was like a sellout team. Like they had a bunch of washed up guys. Like they rallied that year, but like they didn't have. This is like the first time in my life I've ever seen a 4-line Panthers team ever, and it's insane. And I feel like the Lightning aren't like because of their success makes us like, oh, no one cares. They've never been a solid team, and up
Yeah.
until now, like Talon's always. I mean, they've gotten some people. They've also drafted fucking terribly too. Like they taking Eric Branson at third overall one year. Like they've had like the most draft busts. So I feel like they've never built. And like Barkov, Huberdeau, and Ekblad were like the first pieces. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that GM change this year made it. If Talon was our GM, we would not be where we're at. We brought in like half of the fucking Blue Jackets, like some fucking. He did the same thing he did with Columbus. You have like a fast, gritty, physical team, and like you have your Rako Gudis and some veterans, but also you have like younger guys who are gonna be in the trenches, and they press. They're a forechecking team, and so like that's what I'm saying. Like this is the first time I've ever seen the Cats. Like this isn't just like a lucky year. This is like a team that's going to be built to win. And you also have fucking Spencer Knight in the pipeline system. I think that honestly, the worst part about our team is Bob Roski. That
Yeah,
contract,
that's
man.
yeah,
Like,
that
That's a
I don't
rough
know.
contract.
man.
Yeah.
That was like a Talon's like, all right, fuck you, Florida, I'm out. Like before he left, because that's gonna fucking even the Yans contract's like,
Yeah.
but like it's proving. But dude, we're not gonna need Bob in 4 years. You have Chris Dreger, who's more than capable, and you have Monty, which is like he's all right, but you have Spencer Knight and Boston College down there. Like it's just, I guess, all in all, it's exciting though to see like the Cats where they're at, and I don't think it's like a Tampa's the reason why no one ever took it serious. Like they just were never a good team. They weren't even fun to watch. be honest. Like, not that, like, I hate them, but like compared to watching other hockey games, like they just never like had an exciting team, and I think that's why.
And to be honest, it's hard to compare the arena situations. Like I've never been to your arena, but all I've heard is that it's in kind of a tough location.
It
It's
is. So it's similar to like New York, where like going east and west is a fucking nightmare,
yeah.
Mhm.
and like it's way out west, and like there's not really many freeways to go out. It's not like, I'm gonna go on 95 out east, and like if I live 30 minutes south, I just drive 30 minutes north, I'm there. And like people who are north drive there. Like it's a whole fiasco to get out there.
Yeah. Where Tampa, you can't get a better location. Like
It's right there,
it's
smack
right
downtown.
smack downtown. So it's hard to compare the two franchises and like and everything I've heard about the Fort Lauderdale area is that you have West Palm, you have Fort Lauderdale, you have all Boynton Beach, you have all these different like neighborhoods that aren't necessarily close to where the Cats play.
And it's that, but I think the issue is that all of those cities you listed off are out east. So if you just take 95, it's easy to get to it. Even like we have a train system down here that goes up and down, north and
Yeah.
south.
Mhm.
This is the Panthers arena is literally in the Everglades. Like no joke. It's literally in the Everglades. And it's nice and sucks for a few reasons. It's nice because parking is fine. You don't gotta like stress about that, but like in the same sense where like you gotta go way out west and it's like a hike.
Yeah.
Now,
But
real quick, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just BB&T, the only sports franchise that's there are the Panthers, correct?
yeah, so it's actually like I'm glad you brought that up because I know for a while people were like, oh, the Cats are gonna relocate or come to Quebec, this and that. And like I think Bettman likes the unusual markets, and
Yeah.
they're not going to go anywhere.
Mhm.
The Thrashers was like an unfortunate event where no one wanted the team, but
Yeah.
actually, so they're the only professional franchise there, and it must have been like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It wasn't that long, where they got bailed out by the county that we live in, Broward County. They had like a huge bailout. So now the Panthers don't own that arena anymore. It's Broward County, but
Oh, okay.
they bailed them out to keep them there because there's a big money dispute, and if the county didn't bail them out, they wouldn't have a home arena. But then like also now you have essentially a concrete dinosaur.
Yeah.
Like they're the main tenors of that building. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, you can have concerts on the side, but like they would have been super fucked. So the county actually bailed out the Florida Panthers, and they own the arena now, up until like 2028. We're
Okay.
supposed to have the All-Star games too, but it's gonna be next year, I think. This
Well,
recent year.
speaking of like All-Star and award ceremonies, like I think it was the NHL award ceremony where Barkov came out and like kind of took like a jab at the Panthers fans, where I
Oh,
remember he
really?
like went up to win an award and there was like a lot of, I guess it was like Finns, right? He's Finnish.
Yeah, it's finished.
Yeah, there was like a lot of Finns in the stands and they were like really going crazy for him. And he's like, "Oh, thank you, more Finns here than
Oh
in
yeah, I remember that.
Florida." And I was just like, if like an Islander said that about our fan base, I would be so heated.
Well, here, I think. All right, my theory on that is he's finished, so
Yeah,
there's
so
like
like
a
lost
language
in
barrier.
translate. Yeah. Okay.
But he's kind of sarcastic. I feel like he was just being sarcastic, like making fun of people making fun of the Cats. On a side note, though, um, you're an Islanders fan. We're talking All-Star games. So I think in '03 we actually had the All-Star games down here in Sunrise, Florida, and I met what was it, Lou Lamoriello in the parking lot.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's dope.
I mean, how do y'all feel about like Lou and Barry Trotz running the show up there?
Oh, Barry Trotz is the best thing going. I think Lou is a little outdated in the way he like
I heard like
GMs.
he doesn't want like they have to be clean shaven, like that kind of shit.
Have to wear low numbers, just like real outdated practices. But, for the first time in my lifetime, we went after like a free agent at the trade deadline and actually landed him. Like we always had these like big kind of like pipe dreams of who we would want to get, and it never worked out. But we went out and got Pajot last trade deadline.
Yeah.
Honestly, Pajot fits into this Barry Trotz system. Like,
he's great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a contender. Were you all pissed when Tavares left? Like at Tavares, or more pissed the organization?
No,
I've seen both sides of it.
Yeah, it's it was one of those things, and I could speak for Mikey on it because we kind of have a very similar outlook on it. When it first happened, we were kind of salty about it, and I think we were more aggravated of how it went down because we probably could have gotten something for Tavares as a bargaining chip instead of just kind of letting him go. But I mean, at the end of the day, two things. Number one, the guy's playing for the franchise that he grew up loving, and to deny anyone that opportunity is kind of sucky. But if it wasn't for Johnny leaving, we may have never, realized the full potential of what Barzy can do. Because
Barzo, man.
If Tavares was still on the team, I mean, Barzy would have, his acumen would have built up over the years, but he would have still been there playing, guy feeding the puck to Tavares instead of really seeing what he could do. And then the team, I feel like, really rallied around losing him. I think they had a chip on their shoulder and they said, okay, well, we had this superstar. It never quite worked out. He bailed. Let's show the NHL what we can do and how we can pull ourselves together. And I think, seeing how Bailey stepped up and how Beauvillier fit into the system and, some of the other guys on the team, of course, Barzy, but, even the defensive core, how, Leddy and Boychuk and all these guys really stepped up in Tavares' absence to put together a contending team.
Yeah.
Ended up working out for us in the long run. So, you could be as mad about it as you want. But the other tough thing for John is, I mean, on the Islanders, he was the spotlight. He was the guy. It was like he was the sun around which everyone orbited. And then he goes to Toronto and he's essentially on a team where he's not the best player anymore. He's being overshadowed by Austin Matthews.
Dude,
now,
Mitch
granted,
Marner, fucking,
I mean,
Nylander,
exactly.
the whole nine.
Now, I mean, it's awesome that Toronto's having the season they're having, and they're playing great hockey, which is great. And hopefully, we get the opportunity to see them in the playoffs and beat them. Like that would really be the catharsis that most Islander fans need is, playing him in a series, beating them in a series, and just saying, okay, well, we really are better off without you. And I think that'll turn around. But like, we weren't the Islanders fans that were burning his jerseys or sending him death threats or any of this stupid shit.
When I saw that, I was like, holy fuck, man. That was crazy.
Islanders fans are kind of wacky. But the reason Islanders fans are wacky is because, other than the 80s and probably this stretch of hockey now, the Islanders were terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So if you were an Islanders fan in the 90s, maybe sans, 93 and the run with Turgeon and that kind of stuff, you were just going to the Nassau Coliseum. You were getting hammered drunk. You were seeing your team lose 8-1, 9-1. And then you were just getting more hammered drunk. So you developed these like calluses on your liver essentially. And you were just like angry all the time. So like Islanders fans from that era were the ones that were like, ready to drop Johnny off of a building. But the younger, smarter fans kind of realized that you gotta look for the good in these kinds of things. So the team rallying around losing him and becoming a better team, having more success than they ever did with him on the ice, is, I think, a great thing. So that's my impression of that whole situation.
I mean, like you said, in a sense, Barzal kind of just stepped up and took his role. So it's like as if nothing really happened, and then you can build around a much younger, cheaper option too.
Yep. So, but I think one last closing point, and then we'll start to wrap it up a little bit. We've been going for about, I think, hour 15, which is aces. I love it. So we were talking a little bit before about John Van Briesbroek, and I was doing a little bit of tapping around, and I realized that he was actually on the cover of NHL 97. So I got to thinking about that, and I think NHL 97 was maybe the first PS1 game that I had. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Colorado, Florida was 96 Cup, right?
Yeah, that was them.
So so this
swept them.
This makes perfect sense. So the hockey franchise video games, they would always, I think they might still do it, when you go into an exhibition game, they automatically default to the cup game from the year prior. So when I bought NHL 97 and I launched right into it, the first thing I did was play an exhibition game, which was Colorado and Florida. And I have these memories of Scott Mellanby, right? Did I ever really watch Scott Mellanby play? Like in reality, probably not. But like, did I like smoke the avalanche of Scott Mellanby and score like 6 goals? Like the first time I played it, granted on very easy difficulty because that's how I roll. But so like, I'm kind of thinking about this, and then I'm thinking about like some of those 90s rosters. And I mean, like a lot of like players had like a cup of coffee on the Panthers. Like Joe Nieuwendyk, I think was on the Panthers for a second.
Too.
It wasn't was Cicerelli was too, right? Like like a bunch of these guys who like, and I think that's the most fascinating thing about hockey is like these journeymen. Obviously, Jágr being probably the actual statue of that, but these guys would just go around and play everywhere just because they just wanted to keep playing and they wanted to keep on the ice. So that was my memory of the Panthers in the 90s because, being an Islanders fan, I only got to see the Panthers whenever the Islanders would play them. But my memory is just like these powerhouse guys just like taking their seat on the team and kind of playing. I thought it was just such a cool thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's like also too kind of what like now that you mention it, I feel like the Vegas is kind of journeymen who just assembled together now.
Yeah, hell yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens during the offseason with the Kraken coming in, and
as long as they take Andrew Ladd, I'm all good.
The only way they're taking Andrew Ladd is they're going to have to like give them some sort of deal. They're going to have to be like, look, like we'll give you this guy and this guy.
Life.
Yeah, right. Free hot dogs.
I have like PTSD from expansion drafts because we gave up fucking Jonathan Marchessault, our only goal scorer, and Riley Smith for like nothing to the Knights, and I'm like, why? Why? We can't score, and we gave up our 2 scoring like leading scorers. It's crazy, but
I'm so excited for Seattle to come in. The Pacific Northwest is just like they have such a crazy hockey contingent. One of my buddies who lived up in Vancouver for a while said that like the other than all the riots, which Graham from Tokyo Police Club reminded me of last episode, it's just like the immense pride that Vancouver has in their team and all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to get mimicked by Seattle, especially because really Seattle's they've got the Seahawks and Russell Wilson trying to leave them, so they're sad there. They lost the Supersonics years ago, and the Mariners haven't been good since Griffey.
Yeah, but they got their MLS team that kills.
Yeah,
that's
true.
The Sounders or the Kickers or whatever.
But I feel
on
like.
A side note, like I feel like the Seahawks were like, I feel like that team was never the same when they were on the 1 yard line against the Patriots, and the coach said, "Fuck Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah,
we're gonna pass." And I'm a Patriots fan, but like, dude, ever since that, I feel like it's just been kind of downhill. So seeing Russell want to leave, I'm not surprised. But I agree with you. I think, like you said, there's going to be a big rally and hype around Kraken, and it's going to be like the team up there.
Hell yeah, man! I'm looking forward to it. All righty, so Cam, man, it's been such a pleasure having you chill with us, talk hockey with us, talk a little bit about Never Loved. Really super stoked for the announcement coming up in the next 2 weeks, the new track, LP, and all that great stuff. Is it coming out on vinyl? We're gonna see it on vinyl.
Yeah, it's actually. Oh, I'm so glad
He's
my
like a
computer's
fiend,
like,
a vinyl fiend.
like
He's like,
no,
is it
dude,
gonna come
I
out
like.
on vinyl? Please.
I'm so glad. Like, my computer's tilted a little bit this way. If it was a little bit that way, I have it actually hanging up on the wall right now. So yeah, it's gonna be on vinyl. We have 2 different variants coming out.
Hell yeah, man!
For
That's
it. I'm really stoked on both of them, but one
awesome.
specifically because we've never done that style of vinyl. But
hell yeah,
it's
man!
It'll be up for,
Dude.
well, like I said, in a couple of weeks when we drop our track and pre-order and stuff. We'll have vinyls up for sale.
Nice,
all that fun stuff.
Awesome. I'm sure that I'll be there, trying to get whatever variant is more exclusive, and then flipping it.
There we go. I like that. I might do the same thing. Fuck
Bro.
like,
real quick, man. There's been, so I'm a part of all these different vinyl communities, and there's been this like turmoil going on in the past couple of weeks with so Field Day Records did a repress of Ocean Avenue by Yellowcard, and they only did 1,500 of them, and they sold out like in 10 minutes. But like a good chunk of them were bought up by like bots and scalpers, and they showed up on like eBay for like 4 times the price. And in this one specific vinyl group that I'm in, there have been some people that are trying to like trade it for records that are worth like a lot of money. And they're trying to hide behind the veil of being like, no, like I'm not a flipper. I'm just trying to trade it. And it's like, all right, dog. So like you bought this record for $30. You're not a flipper, but you're trying to trade it for a record that's worth like $200. Like that's the same thing, man. And they're like, no, it's not. It's like, no, that's the same thing. So it's been a point of contention, and I've been loving it just because, back when I was really collecting records, like I would have spent any amount of money on any record that I really wanted. Like money wasn't an option, but now I'm restarting buying records, but I have like a hard cap of like, I won't spend more than $40 on a record.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm looking for records that are like worth way more than $40. And then like some people are like, yeah, I have it. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll give you $40 for it. And they're like, nah, it's worth like 150. And I'm like, all right. So when you're ready to sell it to me for $40, I'm your man. But it hasn't worked out all that well. So
we'll have to exchange Discogs after this at some point.
Oh yeah. No, I'm down.
It's funny you mentioned that though. When Armor dropped their 15-year repress of like What's Doing You're Dead, like the first thing I did was like, Equavision, can you send me one, like, please? And they did, thank God. But like, I go on, people are trying to sell that shit for like $85, $90, $100. I'm like, what?
And it's a lot of it is coming down to the fact that record labels are pressing things in limited quantities and they're trying to make it exclusive, which I love that, but it's become such a thing where the lucrativity in it is being realized by everybody. So it's not like it was when Mikey started collecting vinyl, where like you'd go to Hot Topic and there would be literally like a bin of like 100 records priced down to like $4 because no one could have given a shit. Now it's like, you walk into your local record store and like every record is like $26.99, $24.99. And God forbid it's something that, got pressed 5 years ago and no one's trying to press it again. All of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I could sell this for $200 and someone will buy it. And the problem is that people are spending fucking $200 and just perpetuating the culture. It's a bunch of BS. That's what I think. It's a bunch of BS.
Agree.
So
and like also like the artists, like to gouge like that, like artists are losing out on that money too.
Yeah.
And like,
so really what it comes down to at the end of the day, our parting message to people is that if you see a copy of Sugar Ray's 1459, kindly send it to Cam. He needs it.
No, it's funny. Our bassist found that at Radioactive Records right down the street from here for like, I think like $15, $20, something like that.
There it is.
And I
Mark
don't have
McGrath,
one, so yeah.
See, there, Mark McGrath is going to hear this episode, and he's going to send you 1459 and probably Floored, and those are the only 2 Sugar Ray records that I can actually say.
Do you remember what was the one with like it was like a new metal record before? I think it was Floored.
Floored was the one that had Cash on it, which was like super fast.
There was like what Fly was like the only normal song,
Yep.
and the rest of it was like new metal as
It
fuck.
was like new metal and like all fast and shit. Yeah, man, that's dude.
Do you remember
That's
that mega record? What was it? It was like, dude, it had like every new metal artist on it. I forgot what it was called. It had like the guy from System. It had Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. It had like it was a bunch of new metal artists, and then like Mark McGrath was on there, Sugar Ray, one song. It was, I forgot what it was called. It was like a band, and they didn't have a vocalist. They had each vocalist from every new metal band. I'll have this send it over. I forgot off the top of my head, but
dude, definitely do. I love shit like that, man. I'm all about that. So
and hold on, Tom. And
okay, you got it.
Cam, this has nothing to do with you, but Tom, is that a freaking koosh ball in the background? Like what the hell is on your bed? I've been.
Oh, it's a dog toy.
Oh, dude, I thought that was a koosh ball. I was like, where the hell did you even get one of those?
I wish I had a koosh ball. No, it's a dog toy. And just so you guys know, so I've been like playing like dad to my dog for the past couple of days because my fiance is back home in New York helping her parents out. So we did an episode of our album review stuff, 2001 to 2005, and I kept her loose, and she was just like yelling at me and barking at me and photobombing me and trying to bite me at every turn. So for this one, to be a little bit more professional, I like created her in my living room. But every so often, like I would like be like, what am I hearing? And she's pawing at the crate because she hears my voice. Because normally we only crate her when we go anywhere. So she is so freaking pissed right now because she's like, what is this shit? She's like, I can hear him. So every time like there's like a lull in dialogue, she's just like slamming her paw on her crate. So I have to relieve her of her punishment, which is not a punishment. She doesn't realize it. She just, dad just has to get his job done. She just doesn't get it. Amen. What a jerk.
Wait, so what kind of dog is I have to ask. What kind of
dog?
Penelope
is her name, and she just turned 1 like a month ago. She is a mixture. She's a pit bull, she's a lab, and a German Shepherd mix. She's all white.
Man.
She's all white.
Best dogs right there.
Oh man, she is a great dog. Her biggest problem is that she loves everything. So like when I take her out on the leash, like she's not aggressive, but like she is prey motivated and she loves every human and every dog. So just to give you one little dog story, and then I will let us go, I promise. But so I live in an apartment complex, and there's this like little walkway that we take her to go walk all the time. And on the second floor, there's this like little like shitty old little dog that like always comes out on the balcony and just like barks.
Oh
so
my God.
In her infinite wisdom, Penelope now associates that balcony with that dog, even if that dog isn't there. And she's so reactive to this dog that she just starts like pulling and crying and whimpering whenever we go near that balcony. So much so that like the other residents like laugh at her about it, because every time like I walk past someone and she starts doing it, I'm like, bro, she's not there. She's not there. She's not even there. The dog's not even there. And she's just like crying and crying and crying. And I'm like, dude, you gotta chill out. But she loves everything. She's a great dog. She loves everything. She loves koosh balls. So, give the people what they want. Koosh balls.
Amen.
Dude, I think she needs a 1459 on record too.
Yeah, I think she does. She listens to records with me. I think she'd really dig it if Mark McGrath came around and, just hung out with her a little bit.
Maybe we'll get him on here one day.
Who knows, man? I would love to have Mark McGrath on, but Mark McGrath is a consolation prize because we got our homie Cam from Never Loved, and that is how you do it. So, dude, all the love in the world to you and Never Loved. I hope the Cats make a great run. Hopefully, we can have you on in a couple of months when the Cats and the Islanders are playing each other in the playoffs.
I hope not.
Get some real ass chirping going on.
You don't have Grice, and he's a Panther killer, so I think we'll be all right.
He was a Panther killer.
Yeah, but we've got Ilya Sorokin, who is just a dandy of a person. Love him to death.
I think Varlamov too, right?
Yeah, Varley. Mr. Varley, and then we've got what's his name from the Devils, Corey Schneider, just like chilling, not doing a damn.
Whatever happened to him, man? Fuck. We'll save that for another time. But no, I appreciate y'all having me on, and
of course, man.
Definitely, I think hopefully by the time tour rolls around, almost positive, like the playoffs will be done and over with. So hopefully we're celebrating a Cats Cup or Islanders Cup, whatever. Spread the love.
Oh yeah,
But
man.
no, thank you for having me on, man. Y'all been a blast.
Yeah, very welcome, man. Thank you so much, Cam. You have a good one. Never Loved. Dave Music, Dave Courtney, Carpool, Erotic Nightmare Summer. And that's all.
Peace.
Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray.